Welcome to the White Hat versus Black Hat SEO Show. My name is Josh Bashinsky, and I will be your host for today. With me today, I have my Black Hat co-host, Clint Butler. Say hi there, Clint.
Hi, everybody.
I also have the creator of... Oh, I didn't mute myself. Damn it. All right, everyone take a drink. We play a drinking game. Every time Rant Hand comes out or I forget to mute myself, you have to take a drink.
I think at this point you're doing it on purpose. So.
Yeah, well, I want to drink more. SEO leads you to drinking. SEO and internet marketing leads to drinking. That's probably clinically proven. And also today with us, we have my good friend, Ted Capitis, who is also the creator of the Cora software and one hell of a guy and software programmer. Say hi there, Ted.
Hello.
I was commenting before the show that Ted had a contract previously where he went to an office, and I don't think he's doing that contract anymore. And so now he's letting the beard grow out. And I said, when you don't work for somebody, you can let your beard grow out. And he said, yes.
Yeah, it's a nice luxury.
Yeah, you kind of, I don't know, you got a kind of a physicist / George R.R. Martin look going on. I think I like it.
Did you call me fat?
No, not at all.
I think that's what he's getting to, Ted.
Okay, so if you guys have not seen the show before, we are an internet marketing / SEO show. We are, I always like to say we're the best SEO show on YouTube. There's a reason for this. It's because we are science-based and data-based kind of individuals. We all have higher education degrees, not that matters, but it has trained us to always look for the scientific proof. And we're sick and tired of all the other shows on here and all the other gurus and pundits on here who claim that you can do this and do that with ranking and claim this is a ranking factor and claim that's a ranking factor, but they do not provide any form of proof whatsoever other than they were ranking a website and they did something and something happened and they call that, SEO knowledge. That's not knowledge, that's a guess. If you're ranking your website and you make a change and the rankings happen, you're guessing it's what you did. You don't know it's what you did. So we do single variable experiments. The Cora software is a correlation software that tracks over 1,000 websites with over 500 factors to see in your niche to see what actually correlates with ranking and what doesn't. We check factors you wouldn't even think of checking. In fact, the latest Google algorithm update was very interesting. Ted ran his Cora software, and although Google said that it's nothing you can fix, it's nothing you can do, there's nothing you can do about it, Ted ran Cora on, I believe it was DOI Lawyers Los Angeles, and at least for that niche, what changed was HTTPS suddenly hugely correlated by 50 spots, and social links hugely correlated by 50 spots as well, and terms of service pages actually hugely correlated by like 50 spots. So when we run it 2 weeks before their update, and then we run it after the update, and these things are suddenly massively correlating, not like a little fluctuation, we mean like a huge difference, that starts to paint a picture that A, these things could be now more important ranking factors, and B, if that's the case, Google is lying, and the whole rest of the industry is lying and has no idea what they're talking about because they're not using Cora and they're not using science-based methods. So, Ted, what do you have to say about my rant there?
Well, keep in mind that those things that correlated were for my keyword. And so your keyword has different competitors who compete in different ways and to different degrees. So the only way you know how to respond to an algorithm update is to measure the factor measurements for your competitors and your website before and after and look at how they changed. And you will get different recommendations. You'll get different correlations based on the different keywords. So you can't take one piece of advice from one keyword and apply it to all keywords. That's bad advice. So you got to measure. It's the only way.
You're right. And generally, that would be bad advice. I'm offering all this knowledge as a, of course, check for yourself kind of that kind of proviso. Although that being said, when you see such a drastic fluctuation, it starts to look more like that could have been a shift on Google's side. And I will say anecdotally that a couple of people who listened to the show tried adding a terms of service page, and they saw a large boost in their rankings. So although that's not a single variable controlled environment test, that's all websites they're ranking in the wild, when we have a big correlation like change like that, and then they make the change and their websites go up, it's starting to look more evidency and less guessy.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I've heard a lot of the same. I was also surprised by what didn't change, which was backlinks and term frequency.
Yeah, no, backlinks, and it was slightly higher actually when you tested it. So, and social, but social changed as well. So it makes sense, you know, they want terms of service. That's been in the Google Raters guideline forever. And now they might actually be dialing up the ranking signal for that based on their machine learning of that's the kind of websites they want. Remember, Google's ranking a lot of sites now, or primarily Google's moving in an AI direction. That means they're going to increasingly more and more be running machine learning that's going to pick out random factors that mean very little to almost nothing to human beings such as ourselves. I'm assuming everyone else on the panel is a human being. I'll afford you that courtesy. Although, I don't know, Ted, you might be a cyborg considering how smart you are. But and Clint, you might be the Terminator because I know you are just enormous. But moving right along, don't break my train of thought. Yeah, so I mean, when these factors change drastically, it looks like more like a shift on Google's side, and the Google Raters guideline has been their the terms of service has been their guideline forever. They could have just dialed the knob up on that, and social as well. They've been saying forever has been a ranking factor, and HTTPS they've been telling us forever is a ranking factor. So it only makes sense that these things would increase over time anyway. But so today, anyway, that was my just rant. That was my first rant hand of the day. Here's my next rant for the day is what's new in SEO is what we normally start with. I have some new experiments to show off if you guys want to see what's been going on. And then also in the chat, if you're watching live, you can definitely ask any SEO questions in the chat that you want to ask us. Also today, I offered to look at some more niches. So in the last couple of weeks, we've been exploring using SEMrush as a tool to which you can use to check rankings and stuff, of course, and backlinks and keywords and where you're weak in terms of content and where you should be getting backlinks from and all that kind of great SEO stuff. But you can also use it to find niches that you could do for affiliate sites, you could do for lead generation sites, you could do all kind of money-making stuff, because at the end of the day, we all need to make the moolah. And we've been using SEMrush for this, and I asked for some niches you wanted me to explore, and I show you how I bring it into Excel and play with Excel to really tease out the gems, the hidden gems that are in these niches. And so if you have any niches you want us to take a look at, put them in the chat. I will try to play with them in Excel. Ted, if you want, you can even look at the niches and play with them in Cora and see what Cora reports out for some of these niches. And I've already got one started here. But before I get to that, I'll show some experiments. Unless Clint or Ted, you want to talk about what's new in your neck of the woods while I share my screen. If there's anything new.
Not really nothing new on my side. We're testing some things. I did reach out to John Mueller. He's doing an AMA in Reddit. And so I reached out to him about what's going on with the indexing. Not specifically the mobile first index, because who cares? But more, why is it taking a week or more for Google to enter new pages or to enter new changes into the index? And also, why is the East Coast data center showing different results than the Dallas data center versus the West Coast data center? That stuff was all synced, and then they did something, and now it's all backwards. And in general, that's, for the local, it's not really a big deal. If you're targeting Dallas and you see Dallas results, then great. But, if you're a national site, that can hurt you. Mm-hmm. And now there's, I don't know what their game is by doing that, but, that could be significant for some people.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that up because, yeah, it is kind of a big deal. The more you're doing black hat SEO, the more that becomes a big deal. Because
not even that. You have a national site. I know, Jeff Lenny, he's doing his affiliate site. It's a national daddy blog, essentially, is what he's creating.
Yeah.
That's not black hat. He's using pure white hat. And his stuff, he's on the West Coast. None of his stuff is showing up indexed on the West Coast. But Dallas, they can see it, and the East Coast, they can see it. That's a national site, and that's a white hat person that is affected. So that just goes to show you that the white hat train isn't the good train, because if I have to do black hat and make 10 identical sites to go to 10 different data centers, then that's what I'm going to do.
Exactly. Yeah. You forced me to go black hat. But I mean, there's truth to that, right? There's truth to that. One, yes, you're absolutely correct. Google will screw over SEOs equally, whether you're white hat or black hat. So that doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they actually want to delete our jobs. Really, at the end of the day, they wish everyone was doing AdWords. And there's a lot of people at Google, especially that Matt Cutts has now left. He was actually, as critical as I've been of him, he actually protected us quite a bit. And they don't care about us at the end of the day. You're absolutely right about that. I did not know that the data center differentiation. So that's very interesting to hear. What I'd heard about, I suspect that's probably just a delay, but I'd love to hear what John Mueller's answer is on that. What I'd heard about, and what I meant by the more you're doing black hat, the even worse it'll be, is that they are getting very selective. And I see this not because I'm necessarily doing black hat. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not, who knows? But because of my test sites are all spammy kind of auto-generated pages that are similar to some kind of black hat techniques, not very good ones, quite frankly, but some black hat techniques where you're auto-generating pages, you're spinning pages, stuff like that. And seeing how hard it is to get those kind of Web 2.0 links or those spun pages indexed in a relatively quick fashion, it can be difficult sometimes. And that, if you've got, a million backlinks, like let's say we wanted to do that negative SEO experiment again, where you made 150,000 really crappy spammy links in GSA, getting those links spidered again might be difficult. I don't know if you've tried a campaign like that recently. Getting all those backlinks on some questionable backlink sources can be difficult. And that's where I've received the most complaints, the most people emailing me saying, Josh, they're freaking out. How do I index my backlinks? And I'm like, Google's indexing my backlinks, very quickly within a day. But of course, I'm, any kind of backlink I'm doing I'm not doing backlinks. I'm organically getting backlinks from having such a good website. People are donating it to me. Bullshit. And making sure those pages are indexed just to make sure I get, there's nothing wrong with that. It's perfectly white hat. And clicking on those links to make sure traffic flows through the link. That's also very important and very white hat as well. Get some of your friends to click through the link so there's traffic flowing through the link. It might help out. Just show off what you've been doing, not for any black hat reasons whatsoever.
But if Google won't revisit your links, there's a real easy solution to that. Just get a new domain. They'll recrawl it, within a day.
Yeah. They usually crawl sites very quickly. Some backlink pages they choose not to crawl quickly. So, yeah. So we do have to. I take the spirit of your suggestion is that we have to get smarter. We have to get nimbler. And SEO, we always have to get smarter and nimbler.
And that's in the context of the black hat stuff. So if you've spun up a bunch of curated content or generated content, and all of a sudden, Google's devalued it, probably what you need to do at that point is just migrate it to a new domain and
start over and do it again.
Yeah, if you're in the churn and burn industry, then you got to churn more and burn more.
Exactly.
And better and smarter. And really pay attention to the secrets and get into good groups where they know the good secrets. You have good people doing black hat experiments and all that kind of stuff. So that's fantastic. Thanks for bringing that up. And if John Mueller does reach out to you, let me know. I'll reach out to him too, because it's getting serious enough that is kind of a legitimate SEO question that they would even ask like at SMX Advanced and stuff like that.
Yeah. I could attribute that. Maybe I could see that the mobile first index switchover might have resulted in that, but at least kind of give people a heads up, or at least tell them why that's going on. And then again, maybe just I went through that AMA and 131 people were there, and not one person asked about indexing, but everyone seems to be complaining about not being able to do it. So maybe they're just not aware of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure they're aware. I think it was a concerted effort to try and they have difficulty differentiating black hat behavior from white hat behavior quite often at the end of the day.
They're Google. They know everything.
At the end of the day, as we've often discussed on this show, that at the end of the day, the lines blur between white hat and black hat SEO. If you push SEO to its extreme, it's all black hat at some point. We're all trying to modify the rankings. We're not doing white hat SEO to make it easier for them to index out of the kindness of our hearts. We're doing white hat SEO to rank sites better. And so if ranking sites better are against doing anything to rank sites better is against their guidelines, then ipso facto, everything is black hat SEO. But ignoring that kind of distinct, not pushing it to the extreme, I think even white hat's going to be concerned about this indexing issue. And regarding the mobile first index, thank you for mentioning that. So Google is calling it mobile first indexing. And I think the distinction there and they've just announced it, that they're starting to officially roll it out now. Their testing period is down. They're officially rolling it out. And the reason why they're calling it, it's a blended index. So if you have a responsive design or a good mobile design, they will index that copy. If they will not index your AMP copy. And if you don't have a good mobile responsive design, they will index your desktop copy. Right now, they're saying there's going to be no ranking adjustments and no ranking changes or no ranking problems if you don't have a good mobile design because of the mobile first indexing, the mobile first preference. So it's a blended index. This is a nitpicky point, but they're saying not to call it the mobile first index, call it mobile first indexing. It's a blended index. They will choose your mobile if you have a good one over your desktop. But otherwise, they're going to keep all the signals the same. Whether that continues for the future is another question entirely.
Yeah, I think remember when it first came out, it was the assumption that they're going to have a mobile first index, and then the desktop index, and then remember they were talking about, then we'll push the mobile index to the desktop, and that's how we'll populate the desktop, and that's where everyone freaked out. And I called bullshit right from the beginning because it just retarded. That's a complete waste of resources. So. I actually like this because, frankly, if you're not using mobile-ready sites now, then you're an idiot. So, and you kind of get what you deserve in this case. So I think it's pretty good in general, and then obviously just kind of makes us better.
What are you doing, buddy?
I'm all for it. I think.
Yeah, I think you definitely need a mobile design. It was interesting that they're not going to use the AMP version at all for the mobile first indexing.
I think that's good too because a lot of people are just not on that bandwagon.
True.
For them. Those big publishers joined, which is really what they wanted in the first place, was the big publishers to do that, and I think they're happy with that. And whether you and I use AMP or not, I don't think Google could care less.
No, indeed not. Other than any indirect speed boosting or conversion boosting, it's not shown to have any kind of direct ranking benefit. That's when Kyle from SIA tested it last year. We need to do another test to see if that's still the case and still doesn't have a boost.
I don't even recommend it to clients unless you do an e-com or informational sites. So e-com, just because it's just easier. People buy phones with the app than it is in some cases for the mobile. But for the most part, I didn't even touch it. It's not even on any of my sites. I know that for a fact.
I only recommend it to clients if and when, and because it's sometimes difficult to get your mobile speed down to something that's acceptable, where AMP will do it really quick because it forces you to streamline everything down. And it's served off of Google servers. So if you go with that version, there's a Facebook AMP as well, of course. But okay, so that's fantastic. Let's get into some experiments that bore some fruit this week. Let me show you. I've got two that I can share and one that I have to keep a little secret because it was quite frankly super amazing. And I have to save that for my paid subscribers. I have a White Hat versus Black Hat Skype group, and I'm also going to be running the White Hat versus Black Hat conference in August. And that's where that kind of some of these experiments I have to keep under close wraps. But I will share at least what happened. So this experiment here I can share with you. It was a video embed experiment we did March 13th. At first, it seemed to have a positive. So we embedded a video in a page. And it seemed in a single variable experiment with nothing else going on that SERP. And it seemed to give a bit of a boost, but then we have a drop here. So it was not sustained. So it's really hard to say. This is an inconclusive test. It definitely looked positive, but then there was a drop. So this was like a null result. We can't say that a video embed helps, so we're trying it again. We did another test here that I can share with you. So we put just a test. We test everything.
Josh, there's a request to zoom the browser. People are having trouble seeing it.
Oh, sure. Okay. I can try. This is kind of as good as it's going to get. Squint your eyes and maybe you can see it. The alt keyword or maximize the browser window maybe. We did an alt keyword test. We test everything. The alt keyword, of course, is the alt attribute on the image tag. And you've been said you're supposed to be labeling that and putting your keyword in there for years, but we decided to test it. So on February 26th, we added it and boom, we got a boost. And I said, okay, well, let's remove it. We removed the alt keyword and it went down. And we added the alt keyword back around here and it fluctuated a bit because we've been making so many changes, but it went up to number 2 in my test. And quite frankly, actually in my actually here in the browser, it went to number 1. So this test was very interesting. It's number 2 in my testing software. It's actually number 1. So the alt, it went back to number 1 when you put the alt keyword back eventually. So that was very interesting. The alt keyword obviously has a ranking factor. So I've sent that back to Kyle from SIA, and he's going to do some more comprehensive testing on that in terms of whether or not it's a ranking factor, because quick preamble on that, Kyle from SIA has discovered that there's ranking areas where your SEO tags go, so to speak, like the title, tag, the H1, in the paragraph, in the body, bold, emphasized, H1s, H2, H3s, H4s, those kinds of things. And the alt attribute is a number 1 of these areas. Interestingly enough, we tested the title attribute as well, and the title attribute did not give a boost, and in 1 of the 4 tests, it gave a drop. So I would not use the title attribute and in favor of using the alt attribute and putting the keyword in there. But you have to be very, very careful. Don't go spamming the keyword in there 50 times. It's going to be relative to everyone else on the page 1 SERP. So if everyone else on page 1 on average has the keyword in the alt attribute 2 times, you want it 2 times, maybe 3 times at our maximum. And it works that way for all, like the title, the H1s, the paragraph, the total number of words, total number of keyword density. We're seeing that it's all a relative calculation in each slot, so to speak, on all of those different pages. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, go back a couple episodes where Kyle showed this off for us. He showed a new tool that automatically calculates this for you. Cora also does a lot of these calculations as well. I'm sure Ted's going to be quickly making sure it does all these calculations for the next version, because that's what Ted is, the Borg. He just assimilates everything and puts it in his tool. And so that was very interesting. So the alt keyword there did give a boost, and we removed it, and it took away the boost, and we put it back. It gave the boost back. So, I mean, I think that's pretty conclusively proven in a single variable test that, surprise, putting the keyword in the alt attribute has a ranking factor. A powerful one, in fact, at least 1 to 2 spots, relatively speaking. And last but not least, this is the one I have to kind of keep close to my chest. We did a test back in beginning of March, and nothing was happening, and we tweaked it right here March 23rd. And as you can see, there was a huge result. So I've stumbled across something that's very interesting here. And so for those of you who are clever, you could probably reverse engineer what I'm doing and probably go back previous episodes and learn about what I was trying to do. But this one I have to kind of keep close to my chest, and I will reveal this to the White Hat group, in my Skype group. If you want to join that, email me. Or if you want to attend our conference in August, we're going to have awesome speakers like Ted. In fact, you mentioned Jeff Lenny earlier, Clint. Jeff, I've been talking with Jeff. Hopefully he's going to come to the conference, and he'll present at this conference as well. It's early days. We're still getting the speakers come in, but we're going to be revealing really awesome secrets like this at the conference. So email me if you're interested in the conference, or go to whitehat-blackhat-conference.com. And we do have early bird sign-up rates on the website today.
Yeah, and if you're not in the White Hat versus Black Hat Skype group, reach out to Josh, because I highly recommend you get in a group like that if you're not already.
It is nice that we're able to extend the conversation on the Skype group and stuff. I can usually say most stuff on air, but some stuff that we come across, that Holly and I come across, or sometimes, or that just some tests that we come across, they're just too good for me to put out in the air in the public. And so if you want to get a little bit more extra tidbits, for those people who've been watching me religiously, you can probably piece together what that experiment was. But for those of you who want a bigger hint, email me and join the White Hat versus Black Hat Skype group. And it's a great group for throwing around SEO ideas and new secrets and other secrets and stuff, other experiments that are going on. And you'll get this knowledge faster as well. As soon as I get a test result, I usually tell the group what's happened, and any other experiments that are going on, they tell us. So it's a great group to be part of. Okay. So, Clint, did you have something you want to say? I think you're muted there.
I was being a smartass, and I said it's so exclusive. I'm not even in it.
Yes, you are.
I am not.
Yes, you are. You're part of that group.
Nope.
I'm sure you're part of the group.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll add you. This is Clint. This is Clint being complaining. He's like, he doesn't play. I will add you to the group. Okay.
John Black had me out of there. He's like, he told everyone I was there, and I just don't talk. That's what it was.
I think you're part of the group, and I think you just want to lurk and listen to all the secrets and not have to answer any questions. I think is what's going on there. Okay. So let's move on to the main part of the show that I promised, and that's getting rich. I promised riches. Through niches, riches through niches, riches through niches. If you get your niches and you get your riches, I don't know. How do you probably say niches? I'm not sure. I say niches, but so we've been on the last couple of shows. I've been showing how you can use tools that are readily available for SEOs to find niches to rank for, because that's the big problem, guys. And again, just to get Rantan out here for a second, everyone talks about SEO ranking, but no one talks about the front end of the internet business, which is you got to find a money-making niche to rank for first, right? You want to find a lucrative niche that doesn't hopefully have a lot of competition, and it'd be good if you can find them as they start coming up. I know Tyler, of course, from SEMrush. We've had him on the show, and so I emailed them and I said, wouldn't it be great if we had a tool that would tell us about new niches coming up? And so they're working on that. So keep that under wraps. Hopefully they'll build it. So, people are going to email me a month later. What happened to that? Oh, sorry, they didn't do it. But hopefully they're going to build this thing, and so we can see these niches faster than everybody else. But I asked you for some test niches that we could check out. And so I got a bunch here, and I'm just going to go back up to the top. And we got Office Space, the Firmenuk, that's his name, said he wanted to look into the office space niche, sleep disorder, and dry skin. And so office space rentals, I guess, would be the first one. So that's a lead generation kind of site. And then sleep disorder products or dry skin products. And so just, I'm going to try and go through as many of these as I can. And Ted, if you want to run some of these through Quora, just to give another kind of perspective of what Quora does, that'd be fantastic too. So this is how this works. What you need to do to use my method of kind of cherry picking and finding these niches. That's not my method. Use the method I use that, a lot of people use, but the way I do it is, first off, I want to find a big site that's already ranking for this kind of thing, or competitors that are already ranking for this kind of thing. And then I want to kind of cherry pick what they're doing and find out what kind of other opportunities exist along those keyword lines. So let me show you what I mean. So I'll share my screen here. So the first thing I would do here is I thought, okay, well, if we want to go for office space rentals, that's probably the niche that we're talking about here for office space. I would first off use the SERPworks SERP overlay. And this is going to give me how many keywords the spaces are ranking for. So this liquid space looked interesting, but it's some kind of flexible office space network. I'm not sure that's exactly what the kind of beast that this person wants to know about. So ultimately, I decided that this Regus office space listing here, they're ranking for 56,000 keywords. That was a pretty big site, enough for this. And it has office space for rent. So I'm assuming that's what we want to do. We want to find what kind of office space for rent people are looking for. And then we want to see what kind of lucrative opportunities exist in that kind of a niche. So I took Regus.com and I moved over to SEMrush here. I plugged them in SEMrush and I went into positions, and then I tailored the keywords by office space, and that broke it down to, you can see actually Regus has been growing over time, which is interesting. It's always interesting just to see what other people are doing here and how much their traffic costs, according to SEMrush, very interesting. So this is the kind of keywords we came up with: office space with receptionist, virtual office space Orlando, office space Baker Street, office space in this place, office space in that place. That's kind of what we want, right? We want to see what people are searching for, where they want to rent office space, and also how much money they want to pay for it. So that's good. So it didn't come up with a lot of keywords like some of our previous ones we've done, but it came up with 2,400 keywords. So I clicked export and I exported it, and I've already brought it to Excel. So let me share the Excel screen I got going on here, because sometimes I find it difficult to talk and do Excel at the same time. I did some of this ahead of time. So here we have the office space niche. Now I can definitely make this bigger so it's easier to see. How's that? That looks a bit bigger, easier?
That's good.
All right, fantastic. Make it a bit bigger even. There we go. Oh, whoa, whoa. Crazy.
No, you broke it.
There we go. Okay. So what happened is, look at this string here. So this is what it brings down. I've already cleaned this up a little bit. And what I was trying to do last time live, and I couldn't make my brain think of how to do it while talking at the same time because, you know, my big mouth takes up so many CPU cycles, is that they give you a number like this that comes out of SEMrush. And this actually is a great number. It's very interesting. This is the number of, this is 12 floating point numbers that gives you the percentage of searches per month. So this is January, February, March, April, May, it peaks. June, it peaked the most for this particular keyword, office space with receptionist. July, August, September, it peaked. October, November, December. And what I do is I make this into an Excel formula by just doing some jiggery pokery with the way that it comes down. And I bring it down into a whole number that then I can assign kind of a hot year kind of stat to it. So the lower it is not very hot. The higher it is how hot it is per year. But if I want to see what year peaked, and like let's say it peaked in January, and then the rest were like 0.1, I know that this was a fad in January of last year, and now it's not a fad anymore. So that you do have that extra information built into the number here. You just have to dig in. So, but to compare apples to apples, I wanted to make it a floating point number like this. So that's what I did. Now, what I can do to make it prettier and is I can put a gradient conditional formatting in there. And this way I can see, ooh, this looks good. And I can see which ones at a glance kind of look better. I will do that actually for all of these is what I will do, because that makes it look a little nicer. CPC, competition.
Since we can't see that because of that drop down, can you tell us what you're pushing so they know?
Oh, I'm sorry. So I'm using Excel for the Mac. You guys can't see where my mouse is right now?
When you push that and get the drop down, no, you can't see the drop down.
You don't see the drop down, eh?
No.
Oh, weird. Well, thank you for telling me that. So I'm going up to the conditional formatting button, and I go on data bars, and I click this one here. So let me just take a little quick screenshot of how that looks. And I will share the screenshot of how that looks for anybody who cares. Let me share that. So it looks like this. Do you guys see that?
Yep.
I'll highlight that, go to data bars and go down to the, I like the orange because it stands out. So that's the one that I do. So let me go back to Excel. And so this way I can see, now I'm going to do this one red because it's I'm colorblind. I think this is red. Is that red? No, that's green. Damn it. I'm red, green, colorblind. It's exactly, there's red. Okay.
I was way off.
Yeah, well, it looked red to me. That's, hey, welcome to my world, buddy. Search volume, we'll go back to, again, orange I can see very well too. So that's another reason why I choose it. And okay, and position 1. So I'm going to hide position 1 because although this would be interesting to know what Regis is whatever Regis is, whatever the Regis website is it's a specific, it looks like it has a specific kind of office space. It looks like it's the Walmart of office spaces, it looks like. So it'd be interesting to see where they're ranking and where I'd have competition. But you know, I could do a fancy conditional formatter to make these check marks, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to hide it. Okay. So now how do I play with this data? Well, this is a table in, this is a standard table you would make in Excel, which comes auto built in with, do you see these drop down menus?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
No. We don't see the filter when you click that down arrow.
Oh, you don't?
Nope.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, tell you what, I'll do this then. I don't think I have anything private on my desktop open right now, except for, you know, my bank account and all my porn sites I like to go to. So other than that, I'll just share my whole screen.
Midget porn, here we come.
How'd you know? Okay, the infinite regress of the screen. Okay, can you see Excel now?
I see Excel. Click one of the drop down and see if
it should work now because you're seeing my whole screen. So the way these tables work.
There we go.
There we go. So I can sort it ascending or descending. So I can immediately say, okay, show me what is the hottest trends per year. And these are the ones that are one integer. They're fully hot every month per month, right? And I start to see, okay, I can see why. New York City, people are looking for office space. I mean, everyone knows about New York City real estate and how bad it is. Office space leases, Brighton office space. And so this is very interesting how you can just suddenly start to go, okay, what has the highest search volume? All right, boom, office space, that keyword period does. Then office space for rent, Milton office space. Interesting. Is Milton a big place? I wouldn't think so. But a lot of people are trying to rent office space in it.
Probably just trying to get out of the area.
Yeah. You know, you do find interesting stuff going on here.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what if I wanted, I like to use an algorithm to see what the best kind of hidden gems that come out. And so I call it my SEO score. Actually, I'm going to do two. I'm going to do a raw SEO score. And the raw SEO score is going to be equals, it's going to be search volume times CPC times competition times hot year. And so what's that is going to do, enter. Why does it not work when I am always demoing it? There we go. That makes a number. You can see it's the search volume times CPC times competition times hot year. And that makes a number that I can then descend. And it's going to float. Excel is going slowly. It's going to float all the search volume ones and the high CPC and highest competition to the top, preferably, if this worked. I think it worked. Excel is going more slowly now. And if I want to see the worst ones, I press ascending. And Excel is crashing as I try to demo it, of course.
So while we're waiting, that Milton office space is actually, Milton is a character in the show Office Space, so the search isn't related.
Of course, right. Yeah, I noticed that when I was doing searches for this, it's like, oh, they're right, the movie Office Space. That's going to confuse things a little bit. And so that's why it does take some human sanity to figure out kind of what's going on here. And Excel is gone off into the ether here. Maybe it's because I'm sharing the screen. Who knows? I'll stop presenting.
You and your formula.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I stopped sharing the screen, and then it suddenly started working. So this is what I'm going to do here.
We don't need to see the drop downs anymore. So we need this the other day. We could see your formulas when you're typing those in. So I think we're good.
Yeah. So Excel is completely not responding now. So I'll just reboot it. And that's so you can kind of get an idea of how I would play with the data to see what kind of stuff's coming out. Is there any other SEO questions we can answer that are not niche related while I try and get this back up and running here?
Well, I could talk about your niche from the Quora perspective.
Please, yeah, go ahead.
All right, if you can hand over the screen. Don't know what you do on your end for that.
When you're talking, we're seeing it.
Okay.
I'll give you focus as well.
All right, so pulled the Quora data, didn't use a track domain, so there's no roadmap. Normally people like to see a roadmap, but you have to have a website you're trying to rank in order to produce that. So without that, we just have the measurements. So looking at this space, I can see that the average on page 1 for the word count is 1,200 words with, an average of 37 sentences. The extremes are kind of interesting. The practical maximum for this is, 3,500 words for the page. And let's see, number of sentences, 117. So quite a bit of content. Looks like people are competing in terms of long form content. I thought it was also interesting, like things like the number one correlating factor was keywords and meta descriptions, which single variable testing said was ineffective, but yet it tends to correlate. So sometimes information from the field can differ with the single variable testing. Along with the update, terms of service is correlating quite strong. So that's kind of interesting as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, there's usual culprits like, tuning your headings, things of that nature. But it looks like if you go into this niche, you're going to have to compete with a lot of keyword-rich content.
We're not terms of service, just for everyone's knowledge. Cora is just looking for a link on the page that says terms of service, right?
Yep. There are two that we test for independently, the terms of service and the privacy policy. And the terms of service is the one that's correlating strongly post the Google update.
Okay. And what is the other one I always get questions about? I don't see it in here. Clean text in kilobytes. How would someone measure that or improve for that?
Well, clean text is when you strip the HTML and the JavaScript and the cascading style sheets and all the comments. You get all the technical gobbledygook out of your page, and all you're left with is the clean text content. So once you get all the technical stuff out, you get rid of the head block, get rid of the scripts, get rid of the HTML. The clean text is all that's left. So this is kilobytes of clean text. And so here, the average is 10 kilobytes of clean text, and the practical max, which is what we want to shoot for, is 30. So once you get rid of everything else, you want 30 kilobytes of content on the page.
And you'll take care of that by adding that extra, the word counts and the sentence stuff.
Yeah. When you hit those word counts in those sentences, you'll probably be in the ballpark.
Okay.
Don't use small words. No, I'm just kidding.
Right, like Josh talks sometimes.
Sometimes you got to be wordy. Sometimes the more words you throw at them, the better it works. Sometimes not. Thank you, Ted. Was there anything else there you wanted that stood out that you wanted to go over that Cora could show? I mean, Cora, we could talk about Cora for days. I mean, there's 500 factors there you measured that we can go over. Well,
it gets a lot more interesting once we have a website that we're trying to rank for this keyword, because then we can look at how the website is deficient exactly.
Right. We can do the comparison between page one averages and what you got.
So there's a lot less that we can do. We could go into the results and see, are there types of pages that are ranking? Are they doing specific patterns or calls to action? Are we fighting against EMDs and PMDs? But none of those things appear strong for this niche, but they do in others. So really, it looks like the main call out here is the volume of on-page content they're competing with.
Yeah, and so I wouldn't curate that. I would I would create listings. I would custom write the SEO text you want to do though. Okay. Let me go back, see if I can share this, at least for one niche, because I promised going over how this all works. So we have the infinite regress of the thing. Here we go. Okay, so Excel is back. And so what I did here is I clicked, and it's kind of working. Excel, it seems to be, on Mac, seems to be a RAM hog. And with Chrome, just Chrome and Excel working, I closed everything else down. And broadcasting live, it really goes slowly. So I might have to, in a future Hangout, what I'll probably do is I'll just look at maybe I'll grab all the ones you guys put in the chat today, and I'll make like a PowerPoint presentation for next week. That might be better. But too bad, because I want to do this live. But so if I say ascending on my raw SEO score, what that's doing, it's going for the worst of the worst. It's the ones that have no competition, no CPC, and no competition. And so no one's paying any money for this, theoretically speaking, and the lowest search volume. To really do this properly, what I want to do is I want to do a find and replace. Now let's see if this is going to work live. Who knows? If I want to do a find and replace with 0, and I want to place it with 0.1, and I want to replace it, and I ask it. It says it can't find a match. Why can't you find a match? Did I type O and not 0? 0 replace with 0.1. No. Okay. See, like weird things happen. So I'll go 0.1 here, and I will just drag that down so that they all at least have some number so that my formula works. And you'll see why I'm doing that in a second. Oh, interesting. And now all my values disappear. So I don't think you should demonstrate Excel live because this is all disappearing now. I had 2,400 keywords here to look at.
That didn't happen last time you did it.
No, it didn't. This is weird. It was a little buggy, but it wasn't. It was sluggish, but it wasn't this buggy anyway. So I don't know what's going on with this. Why this is misbehaving, but so that's one. This is a good way you can play with the numbers here and get kind of the best ones to show up. So let's just go over some of the best ones here before Excel entirely crashes on me and this is completely useless. If I descend the raw SEO score, which again is multiplying the search volume by the CPC, by the competition in AdWords, and how hot it was per year, that theoretically should show me the best niches, and I just have to use my human brain to look at what's going to be the best kind of or least easiest to rank for, and look for the smaller red bars and the big red bars. And it really is slowing down. Can you guys still hear me? Am I still broadcasting? Looks like I am.
Yeah, you
are. Okay, well, like I said, this might not work so well live. I could also get my second computer going and do it live next time on the second computer and just join the Hangout with another account. I could do that too next time. So I'll think about something. But anyway, so you get the idea of how you can use SEMrush. You got to think of a website that is ranking for those keywords already. A simple Google search will work. So let's just start the process. I can't finish it, unfortunately. So let's say sleep disorder product. Let me go and just see here. Sleep disorder. Also, it's going to be your friend. The search suggests it's going to be your friend as well. Sleep disorder product. If you want to see what kind of sleep disorder products are good, so I would do this search here. Yeah, use some kind of SERP overlay and get some kind of use some kind of logic. Now, quite frankly, if Amazon shows up here, I know for a fact that Amazon would be the best one to use. Because Amazon, I mean, basically, you're going to have your go-tos you go to all the time. For any products, it's probably going to be Amazon, eBay, and Alibaba is what you're going to go. If any service, it's going to be YouTube or maybe Craigslist or Kijiji if you're in Canada or something like that. So I know immediately I can just go to SEMrush here. I can go, hey, show me Amazon.com. And we're going to get the rankings for Amazon.com. And again, we don't care. And see what's happened to Amazon recently. Interesting. April 17th, they lost some organic traffic, but they got back up. So all we care about is sleep disorder. We could even just do sleep, but sleep disorder is the advanced filter we're going to use. Include keyword containing sleep disorder. And because we're going to end up with a ton of keywords, let's add one more. Let's exclude any of the keyword difficulties that are greater than 60. And let's add one more. Let's exclude any of the cost per clicks that are less than $10. Because if I'm going to bother making an affiliate site, I want to make some good commissions on it. And the average CPC is great marketing data for telling me how much money is in that product generally. So we look as bored as Clint does while we wait. And interestingly, it says nothing found. This is the problem when you have too many filters at once. Sometimes SEMrush will start bugging out. So I'll just do the one keyword first just to see what it gives us on sleep disorder. And hopefully SEMrush is not going to be acting up. And then nothing works. Then my whole live demonstration, nothing works. I'll just go cry and eat some worms. But it's waiting here. Amazon has millions and millions and millions of pages ranking, of course. And so this is a big load for SEMrush to process. There's someone at SEMrush saying, hearing the server hard drives go crazy, and it's like, what's going on? Who is doing this? Yeah, see. Okay, well then fine. Let's do no filters. Just show me what Amazon.com is ranking for. Sometimes you have to play with it a bit. Okay, here we go. Boom. And as you can see, there's 69 million queries that Amazon is ranking for. Okay, now let's just do sleep disorder. Sleep disorder. Apply. And hopefully that works. And if it doesn't, I'll just give up and answer some SEO questions. And then cry and eat my worms later. There we go. Okay, now we got books on sleep disorders for dummies, sleep disorder, Jack, blah, 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 blah. This is not really what you probably want. If you want to get into a particular niche, you probably want sleep disorder products that you can get an affiliate account for, but you could conceivably go start up higher in the search funnel, and you could conceivably maybe get an affiliate code on books. You know, so you got to kind of immerse yourself in the data and start to see what opportunities jump out at you. But let's just say we want sleep disorder products. You know, we want that sleep apnea machine here. Sleep disorder products. Try that just one at a time, just to be easy on SEMrush so it doesn't crash on us. Actually, we probably don't want products plural. We want product singular. Let's see if that works. It might not. SEMrush might mess up, or yeah, this is not working the way I would like it to work. But let's go back to see if just sleep disorder works. At the very least, because I can always do this work in Excel as well, which when Excel is not being live broadcast, it works much better. I can now go and exclude any of the keyword difficulty greater than, say, 70, in case I went too high last time. So excluding the hardest niches that are possible to rank for. We'll see what it says. Okay, at least that worked. So, no, equal. We wanted greater than 70. Whoops. We'll exclude that, and then I'll go and I'll exclude CPC. That's to exclude less than 10, because you might be like, well, Josh, don't I want to rank for queries that maybe don't have a cost per click associated? You might, depending on what niche you're in. Like if it's a niche like a herbal supplement niche that you can't do AdWords in, then that data is not going to be useful, obviously, because you're not going to have any cost per click because no one can bid on those keywords. But if it's a niche where you can bid on the keywords, you want the marketing data of what people have already put into Google AdWords so you can know what makes the most money, because there's some very surprising kind of interesting things there. Okay, good. So now these are the easier niches to go for. And now finally, very carefully and very gently, we will try to exclude CPC less than $10, because we just want to go for the most lucrative niches here, or the ones that are more lucrative. And we'll get, come on, SEMrush, you can do it. Process this. And then once that's done, we would pull that into Excel, and then I would do my Excel jobby there. Only one? Yes, this is not working. This is, I'm going to go eat my worms and cry.
No, that matched what you had in the other data before you entered that, because I was scanning through as you were scrolling, and that's about right. I think that it may have missed one, but that matched what was shown in there. Because before you added that, there was only 33 in their results. So
you're right. It might be entirely possible that sleep disorders is just not that lucrative a niche.
At least on Amazon.
At least on Amazon, right? I mean, but I'm using, it doesn't really matter what Amazon people are doing on Amazon, because I'm just using Amazon as my data set, right? Because Amazon is a huge website and Google likes brands. The logic kind of runs in that Google is going to rank Amazon for all kinds of queries, including like on page 9 and 10, that they're not ranking for page 1. And so I'm using Google's avarice and their desire to rank brands against them in using Amazon as my guinea pig to show me just what are all the keywords that are ranking for this. I could just go into Google AdWords and then do a small campaign and do the same kind of a thing, but I like using SEMrush to do it because they give me a keyword difficulty as well, and I hate Google and I don't want to make an AdWords campaign. But you're absolutely right. If you were checking, it is entirely possible that I was too specific in my filters, in that in the sleep disorder niche, there just isn't that much money, and the cost per clicks are usually $10 or under. And that would tell you right away that maybe that's not a niche you want to be in. And so that's why I go through in this logical process. And also all the keyword difficulty was quite high. This is a saturated niche that people have been in for a while. I've had at least 2 or 3 separate sleep disorder customers come to me over the last few years. So, I mean, this is what the picture, the data kind of starts painting to you. That listen, if people are, if I have the highest one here is classification of sleep disorders. For some reason, according to SEMrush, people are bidding $17 per click on that query that only has a volume of 10 searches a month, and has a keyword difficulty, according to SEMrush, of around 69.74, so 70% difficult. That's a high difficulty for a low amount of money and a very low searches. I would immediately look at that and go, I don't want to be in the sleep disorder niche because it's super saturated and doesn't make a lot of money. And so I wouldn't even have to get down to Excel at that point. And my analytical brain might be able to have noticed that without my big mouth yammering on trying to host a show at the same time. So here's another tip. Don't host a show and do this live and try and think logically, because you're thinking about talking, you're not thinking about the logic of what the data's telling. Okay, so I hope that's semi-helpful to some people, the little bit I was able to do. If you want more information, it just might not be a thing that you can demonstrate live. I might have to kind of help people look for this. I might have to help people. I might have to do this research and sell the research. So if you want information, if you want more help along these lines, email me at joshbashinsky@gmail.com. It just might not be something I can do live, but there's huge money here and huge opportunity. If you can, this is business 101. You have to get a lucrative niche to start off with, right? You don't just put your restaurant anywhere in town. You put your restaurant where there's the best traffic and the lowest lease cost per month and other very important factors that will literally make or break your business regardless of how good your marketing is. So to use that parallel into internet marketing, it doesn't matter how good your SEO is, or how good your PBN is, or how good this is, or how good that is, how good your white hat SEO is. If you've chosen a crappy niche to begin with, there's just not that much money to make and it's super saturated. You've got to find the niches that are not super saturated and that you can make good money. And I'm telling you, after doing a lot of this kind of research, it's not the year 2000 anymore. There's way less niches to go for that have that I consider good ones. I boiled down 10,000 niches to about 10 good niches that I thought were good, and I have them and they're fantastic. But if you want more information on that, you could maybe twist my rubber arm for me to sell a couple to you. Email me at joshbashinsky@gmail.com. But Clint's laughing. Always the upsell, always the capital. Well, this information is too good just to give away. I can give away SEO information and people will do it yourself, but this information will literally make or break your business. I could make you hundreds of thousands of dollars a year by selling you one of these niches or helping you find niches or doing this kind of consulting. So anyway, or for those of you who want to do it yourself, you can easily see what I'm doing. It's not it's not super rocket science. You can see what I'm doing, and you guys go ahead, take this method and do it yourself. That's why I always give away free information for people, you know, the small percentage of people who want to do it themselves, and then the larger percentage who might need a little bit more help because they're busy with other stuff. That's what a business consultant is here for. That's what we do. So
to bring something full circle, that experiment you showed at the beginning with the alt attributes.
Yes.
In this latest Cora data for the sleep disorder product, the number 2 correlating factor was keywords in the alt attributes.
Ah, well, there you go.
Point that out.
I like that. And you know, when you get Cora correlation evidence and single variable experiment evidence, those are the 2 strongest kinds of SEO evidence. When they both say the same thing, you know you found yourself a ranking factor, folks. So if you're not doing it, you're missing out on something. And don't overdo it, because then I guarantee you're going to go down. My hypothesis, which I'm pretty sure, and Kyla's too, that all those SEO spots you got to stuff keywords into, you don't want to go over the threshold, which is relative to the page 1 average, or you're definitely going to be over-optimized, and that's going to be a problem. Okay, so let's try to answer some questions here. Of any other SEO questions I've got. I don't have time to go over any of our niches. Email me for more niche information. Let me see if I can answer some just straight SEO questions before we end the show. And we will go here. Okay, so yeah, so he also asked about curating the content. I would not curate any content. I would custom write it. I mean, curating, oops, that's not going to help. Curating the content here is not going to help you rank for these keywords. Only if you're doing it in the most long tail black hat method. I don't know, Ted and Clint could speak to that better than I can, but I wouldn't curate the content. I would take, in this case, I would take the white hat approach and custom write a good review page. But what do you guys think? I know you guys might have a different philosophy on this.
Well, curating content doesn't necessarily equal black hat if you're actually doing proper curation. So I know a lot of people, including myself, that use curated content because it's just a lot easier than coming up with something new and original. Which, you know, I've said before, no one's written anything original on the internet, especially about SEO, in quite some time. So you know, why not do curation as long as you're, you know, treating it like a research paper, essentially, is kind of how I do it. You're marking up your resources, etc. Then you're good to go, and Google kind of accepts that and looks for it, really. So.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't even consider that curated content. I mean, I know it's much easier to write, and so I get what you're saying, but yeah, when I say curated content, I mean like literally just firing up your spinner and grabbing other people's content.
No, that's not even curated content, though. That's 2 different things. That's copying other people's crap and then rechanging it and, you know, rewording it, which I've done too. So that's, you know, you open up a web page, like open up one of Ted's articles, open up drag and dictate, open up a text editor and read what Ted writes and go, oh, well, this blah, 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 blah. In Ted's case, it's easy because he talks in big words. You just write, do your article in small words, and you've both talked about the same topic, and now you compete.
Right. I get a bigger word count too.
I have scripts that pull and you know, those things rank. I mean, it works. I don't think Google's punishing it. There's certainly nothing against syndicated content in the webmaster guidelines. I've heard, you know, John Mueller and others say, well, what value are you adding? And they might argue the quality of the website, but those are very subjective things. They're, you know, they're not rule-breaking things. They're quality things.
You know, what is that? What's that social? What's the SEO site? I don't even read it. SEO Journal, something like that. Basically, he just runs around and he finds things that, like John Mueller says, and then creates a blog post about it. That's pure curated content, and that's ranking #1 for pretty much all the SEO terms, right up there with Moz and the other SEO popular SEO sites. So,
right.
You know, all he's doing is curating content. He's not making anything original. He's running around and saying, hey, look what other people wrote on the internet. This is what it means. So you can do that with curated content all day long. And it takes 5-10 minutes to write one of those to give your opinion. So,
yes. I love how when Ted was talking, the exact thing he's doing it got cut out because the stream, the data stream got slow. So like, well, I'm doing this, and then he says, and it's ranking great, and I'm making a lot of money. You don't know what it either, or Google, the AI is listening to us, and you had too good of a suggestion there, and it squashed out what you were talking about.
It's the censor button at Google.
That was too much of a coincidence. I don't know. I got to put my tinfoil hat on. So, folks, if you want to know what he's doing, it comes along the lines of doing that spinning, and so even Ted will put his black hat on every now and then and fire up spinners and just have their worst spun kind of content. There it is, the worst spun kind of content, and just rank it for long tail. And I know that was a project you were working on a while ago. Do you mind telling us how well it's going money-wise? Can you release that kind of information?
Well, I wasn't tracking revenue, I was tracking viability. So I was looking for organic traffic. And so I created scripts that generated about 30 websites of curated content, genuinely syndicated content, made it all rel equals no follow, so no shenanigans there. And it gets about 2,500 visitors per month. And it's on targeted keywords, and the AdWords estimated CPC on those keywords for that traffic would be in the ballpark of $5,000 to $10,000 a month of ad spend. I think that's a little overstated, but there's value there. The question is, can you monetize it?
It's kind of like Bitcoin mining, right?
Yeah, it's a lot like Bitcoin mining.
Yeah, you just auto-generate 50 prefab, completely scraped content websites.
Yeah,
ranking for long tail.
You a dime.
Yeah, you don't point any links at them whatsoever, and just churn and burn that going on. And yeah, so a lot of people are thinking, how do I do that? Well, email us and you'll figure out how to do that. Well, let me see if I can answer the rest of these questions here, and then we can end this show. Okay, so Deep Clean Dave says, not sure if it's a coincidence, but I added terms of service pages to 2 websites after your latest vid, and they jumped up on the SERPs quite nicely after a few days. Yep, you're not the only person who's told me that. Nathan Hammond said, would you suggest no following a site-wide terms of service link? A footer link, and most likely, it doesn't seem like you want to pass juice to it. Yes, if you did that, then it's outside the tests that we've done. So I'm not really sure. I wouldn't really care. But yeah, you could. It's 6 in one hand, half dozen the other for me. What do you guys think?
If you're putting it in a footer, your site wide, then I wouldn't bother with it. Typically, there's probably a link in your terms of service to your homepage anyway, so you just kind of create a nice little loop. So at the end of the game, it's value added. I don't think there's any value added in leaving it no follow versus follow. So
it's one little page that of your PR, which is debatable that Google even bothers sending to a terms of service page because it knows it's a boilerplate page.
And from my perspective, let's say you do have that site-wide footer, and he sends all, and that's the only one, and it's all going to that terms of service page, which is there. And that site happens to be a PBN, then you put a link to your keyword exact match term on your terms of service page.
Yep, but you could do that as well. That would also, testing that in a single variable experiment would tell you how much page rank is actually flowing through that page and to it from the index page as well.
Yep.
Another question the Firmanek also asked, does removing the date of a blog post affect Google rank, the freshness of the term? Yes and no. The published date on the page is one thing Google uses to determine the freshness of it, but also when they spidered it, when they cached it, is the primary factor there, and whether or not the page has changed. So you could change the date on a page all you like. It's not going to make it any fresher unless you've actually changed the contents of the page as well. Yes, well, he's got crazy questions. So another question is, you mentioned not having a mix of keywords on a homepage. I have a blog review site with about 10 posts on the page, then paginated. Would this negatively affect the site? No, but it's not going to help that page rank for anything because it's not targeting a keyword. And if Clint and Ted agree or disagree, by all means, go ahead. Just cut into what I'm saying.
Sorry, I missed that. I was responding in chat.
Oh, not a problem. No, if you guys disagree with what I'm saying, go ahead, because I'm just going to lightning around through these now. Question for Ted. On my Quora report, Amazon is on it. Should I filter it out of the results or keep it in? I'm sure you answered that already, Ted.
Yeah, you know, it's a big debate. I put the banned domains feature into the tool set so the community can decide the best practice. I think that that's cherry picking the data, because I think websites are stack ranked based on their factor measurements. Other people think they need to exclude them so they could get to the real data. You know, it's a big debate. And so the answer is, I don't know, but I gave people the tools to make their best case.
I love how you took a page out of Google's book and used their disavow machine learning method to do the same thing, right? So you're going to crowdsource what everyone thinks is query deserves diversity. So here's the issue. I'm probably the one who's debated with you this the most. That I do think that Google cherry picks certain sites to put on certain SERPs, like Amazon specifically, or Wikipedia.
But here's the rub, okay? Because there are so many keywords. It's an astronomical number of search terms. You can only manually curate a small minority. So the vast majority have to be just done by automated means.
Yes.
And so if you believe you're in the vast majority of keywords, which most are because they're in the vast majority, then you are being ranked by the algorithm, and thus cherry picking the data is just hiding the facts from you. So it depends what you believe, you know, what your situation is. Are you in that small minority that has human beings working magic, or are you being governed by the algorithm, in which case those big sites are important data?
Yeah, I mean, I was working on a client site yesterday, and he happens to be in the pornographic space. I don't know if you guys realize, but there are pornographic movies on the internet. Heaven forbid. And you know, most of those searches, of course, are they just want to watch a video. But he has a blog that talks about reviewing porn stuff, and this blog was floating up there. But Google would put a blog review there and then take it down. And he, you know, the kind of question was, well, why is that? I'm like, well, because this doesn't serve the query intent. This is just query deserves diversity. Google thinking, you know, I know all you want is to watch videos when you search porn in Google, but we're going to float up a blog page, a review of it every now and then, just to see if that's what you want. Maybe hoping, you know, it's not just the other thing, it's this thing, you know. So that's a case where there would be query deserves diversity, I think, because he definitely did not have the link juice to warrant ranking up with Pornhub and YouPorn and all those other places. Or, you know, that kind of a thing. But yeah, so it's again, it's a difficult determination. I totally see what you mean, Ted. I love how you're crowdsourcing it, though. I would look at both. I would run my report without the QDD domains, and then I would look at it with and see if it really changed the variables that much. At the end of the day, it might be that Amazon and all the big brands that you think are being cherry picked actually rank in there because, yeah, they do have the keywords both on page and off page to warrant ranking there. It's entirely possible.
I run it without those in there, and I'll optimize it against my local competition because I focus really narrowly on local a lot. And then I'll do it with them in there, and then I'll make changes, and then I'll add the backlinks, Ahref and SEMrush to it. So I'm hitting it 3 times. And I've shown Ted some of mine. I've come pretty damn near close to complete parity with a lot of the stuff that I'm doing. And it's, you know, that process seems to work for me. And then plus I'm not overworking a page and trying to hit everything all at the same time. I just do one little section, what happens, do some more, what happens, and do some more, what happens. So I see value in not looking at those because Yelps and the home advisors, you know, they're not SEO, and we all know damn well that Google's showing preference to them because their ads are all over their sites. So, and you know, they probably own half of them too, be my guess, or a significant stake in them. So,
right.
So I like to filter those out first, just to compete with the actual, you know, the real local results first, and then add in those other directories after.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, I do SEO in the same way, but more from the white hat perspective. where it's like if the quality score is good enough on a page and the on page is already good enough for it to rank page 1, I don't bother throwing any links at it or doing any more social, or so you go in stages. You see if is this enough to rank there? Good, I don't have to spend any more money or time on it until it's not, and then you do. Mm-hmm. So the same kind of deal. Okay, folks, so we're way over time for the show, so I apologize for the questions I wasn't able to answer. If you have any more questions, please ask them in the comments. We'd be happy to answer them afterwards, or you can always email me at joshpashinsky@gmail.com for any SEO questions that you might have. Guys, what are your final thoughts before we sign off?
I'll go first. Just so, yes, you can do GSA on the money site if you filter your lists. My microphone is actually really good, and if I turn up the gang, you'll hear the dogs across the street. And 2, my show will be back on Friday.
Okay. I'm assuming that's not random. I'm assuming people asked you that. But if it's random, that's even cooler. I like that a lot. And Ted, what's going on with Cora here? When's the next version coming out?
Oh, in the next week or 2, we'll have 3.8, and then we're making the big push for the awesome version 4. And I want to remind everyone, if you're not in the White Hat versus Black Hat Skype group, to hound Josh until you are. That group is awesome.
Yeah,
okay.
Josh.
I'm not even paying Ted to say that. Thanks, Ted. He markets my stuff better than I do. I should hire him to do marketing. Okay, thanks very much, guys. This has been the White Hat versus Black Hat SEO show. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you have any SEO questions, you can contact all of us. My email is joshpashinsky@gmail.com. Clint is info@digitalear.com, I believe.
Yep.
And Ted is
SEOtoollab.com.
There you go, SEOtoollab.com. If you want Cora, email me. I can get that for you. If you want a SEMrush free trial, I can get that for you. I'll also put the links below you in the YouTube page down below. So as I always say, good luck in the SERPs, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.